Welcome to the Lotus Roche Ignite Show. We are here to inspire and empower you and ignite the fire of success within you so that you can ignite and take flight in every area of your life. We are here tonight with another great show with another powerful influencer that is intended to be here just for you. Welcome to the show tonight. Of course, you know I'm going to have a phenomenal guest, and we are going to be talking about leadershipology. But before we get started, I want you to come on in, run and tell a friend that it is time for you to win. Why? Because I want you to make sure you ignite and take flight in every area of your life. Why? Because I am bringing inspiration to every nation, especially tonight when we talk about leadershipology. Are you leading or are you lagging? So my guest is going to be with us very shortly. He had to reboot his computer. You guys know how it is when you get ready to talk about a real hot topic. Everything and its mama, including the kitchen sink, will happen. That's right, will happen. And so tonight, we were just a little bit behind in getting right on like we normally do, but he'll be coming on through really shortly. And like I always say, go ahead and make sure you get your notepad and your pen. Get your notepad and your pen because note takers are money makers. So come on in and get in where you fit in because I've always got room around my table for you. So when you come in, go ahead, make sure you let us know where you coming in from because we want to know where you hail from so we can say hello, Avita, saying buenos noches, buenos tardes, or wherever you're coming in from, we could say hello, a hearty hello to you. So I always tell people, go ahead, sit back and relax, grab yourself something nice to drink, something to sip on. So while you're getting all this wonderful information and while people are coming all in from all over the world, you're nice and comfortable. So I'm going to go ahead and get me something to drink and you should get you something to drink too. And let me know what you're sipping on. Tonight, I'm drinking lemon water. What are you drinking? That's some good stuff. Lemon water, especially people who sing, people who are speakers, they speak for a long time, or they read. You know, a lot of places you can go to different libraries, different functions, sometimes even a venue, you can go there and people are actually reading live poetry. And so what they need is some hot lemon water. Woo, that's some good stuff. So anyway, folks, I wanted to ask you all a question. How many of you out there are leaders? And do you know what leadership is? Well, I got to tell you, I was looking up leadership. I just recently did a talk on leadership myself. And I wanted to tell you what a company called Mind Tools says that leadership is. Okay, it says, what is a leadership? It asks the question. And it says, leadership can bring to mind a myriad of things. It's, you know, people can be a political leader, pursuing a passionate personal cause. They can be an explorer leading an expedition through a cutting path or a jungle or a rest area. Yeah, even a rest area. You might have to get led to the restroom. But anyway, there are various levels of leadership. And sometimes we have the grassroots leadership where you're being led to the restroom. You know, mom, dad, when you're leading us little kids to the bathroom that we got to go and don't know where it's at. Or you could have a mid-level leadership where you're working at McDonald's or something like that, but you still have a leadership team lead. Or you could have higher echelon levels of leadership where they're leading in corporate arenas and they're leading a conglomerate of people. So let's talk a little bit about what Forbes says leadership is, okay? Because many of us, we look at Forbes and we say, I like Forbes. Forbes gives out good information. Well, let's put their money where their mouth is. Let's go right over and look at what Forbes says leadership is. And I'm going to read it right from the Forbes page. So Forbes page says, leadership, such a simple question, and yet it continues to vex popular conclusions, consultants, and lay people alike. I've now written several books on leadership for employee engagement, and yet it occurs to me that I never actually paused to define leadership. So let's start with leadership, what it's not. So Forbes says leadership has nothing to do with seniority or one's position in the hierarchy of a company. Did you think that leadership had something to do with seniority? Most people think that because oftentimes the person who's been at the company for the longest usually is the person in leadership. I used to think that, but I don't anymore, because what I found out was that a lot of times people can come right into a company without any seniority and be moved right into a level of leadership. The other thing they say leadership is not, it has nothing to do with titles. One thing I shared this weekend while I was on the NGO Whisperer show with Dr. Opinde, I found out that, guess what? You don't have to lead from the front of the Cadillac. You can lead from the back. That's what someone that used to work for me used to tell me, because I worked in an environment where there were a lot of men and I was the only woman, and I had to lead, but I didn't have the title. And sometimes people are in leadership, but they don't have the title. So you can be a leader without a prestigious title. And another thing, leadership has nothing to do with personal attributes. Now, you may be a very wordy person. You may have 1 million degrees or anything like that, but it doesn't mean that it's just because of your personal attributes or even your looks. Okay. And it says we often think of icons from history like General Patton or President Lincoln, but leadership isn't an adjective. We don't need extroverted, charismatic traits to practice leadership, and those with charisma don't automatically lead. But what I have found is that a lot of people with charisma, sometimes they often get the leading role. And often they get the leading role. Why? Because it appears that they believe in themselves. So I like to get great words from great places. So I want to send a special thank you out to Forbes for sharing that wonderful information with us, because after all, we need to get it from the horse's mouth. And that article was written by Kevin Krause, Kruse. So let's get right into it. Tonight, we're going to be talking about leadershipology. Are you leading and are you lacking or lagging? A lot of times we are not leading in our own personal lives. We're not leading ourselves in a positive way in our lives. And so guess what? When it comes to the business of our lives, we're not leading either. We're oftentimes lagging. So let me ask you this. If you are leading in your personal life and you are leading in your business life, go ahead and put a number 1 in the comment block below. If you are leading in your personal life, if you are leading in your business life, put a number 1 in the comment block below. And so I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to come back and we're going to get further into this conversation. And I want to know if you're leading or if you're lagging in your personal life, because guess what? If you're not leading in your personal life and you're lagging, 9 times out of 10, you are going to be lagging in your business life. So I'm going to take a quick break and I'll be right back. If you're an entrepreneur and you are ready to live the dream in 2021, well, come on and get on board with the Visibility Strategist as she presents Entrepreneurs Living the Dream 2021. It's an online event that you don't want to miss. There will be several opportunities for public speakers, public TEDx speakers. You heard it right, public TEDx speakers. Starting on February 25th, 2021, June 24th, 2021, October 21st, 2021, April 22nd, 2021, and August 26th, 2021. You don't want to miss this. Get at her at info@patriciarogers.com, info@patriciarogers.com, where unity and service, where people need people.
I feel heartbroken inside. Feel like I'm losing my mind. Can you please get out my side?
For this Christmas, I made it my duty to give back to people in need. All I need you guys to do is message me on Instagram or Twitter at KEEGNS or email me at keegansing.com. And you have to message me a story about a group of people or a certain individual in need. I will choose the winner based on which story I find the best, and I'll donate to them and give them presents, which hopefully will make their Christmas. Thank you guys so much, and I'm looking forward to the stories.
All right. I love that commercial, so I like to play it. That's my man Keegan. And I don't know if you guys know, but for Christmas, he did something special. And that is a part of leadership. He wasn't lagging. He was leading the charge on doing something really phenomenal that is helping people all around the world. So as we're talking about all around the world, let's go and see who is joining us from all around the world. So let me take some comments. So let's see who we have here. Dr. PPP, all the way from Canada. It's good to see you. I'm happy to see you here. Terrence, Mr. Unstoppable himself, Terrence Leffridge, good to see you. Happy you're here. And yeah, we're waiting on Mr. Velton to come in. He'll be in shortly. And Washington, D.C. is in the house. Let us know where all of you are streaming in from. I want to know. And don't forget, like, share, and start a watch party, run and tell somebody. And yeah, Terrence, the D is getting busy, but you know what? It doesn't stop me, because ain't no stopping me now. And all of you know that I know that you know that I know that you know that you cannot be stopped. Why? Because you must be unstoppable. All right. I see Miss D. Hey, good evening, Miss D. Balding. Good to see you. Happy to have you here. I cannot wait to get your book in my hands. So thank you so much. So Terrence has a quick comment. So let's see what he's saying. He says, you don't have to lead from the front of the Cadillac. You can do it from the back of the Buick. LOL. That's right. And you know, when someone told me that I didn't have to lead from the front seat of the Cadillac, at first I said to him, I said, well, what did you say? And he said, you know, Miss Roche, you don't have to lead from the front seat of the Cadillac. And it made me realize that oftentimes many of us have had jobs where we were not paid our fair salary, whether it's because we're a female or a person of color, or just because they didn't pay us fairly. But whatever the reason was, oftentimes many people can attest to being in situations where they are not being paid commensurate to their knowledge, to their experience, and sometimes their counterparts may be being paid more. Sometimes the counterparts get paid more because of who they know and who likes you. I believe that oftentimes we have friends, buddies, and in-laws. Okay, so sometimes when you go to corporations, they have friends, buddies, and in-laws working there. So sometimes they're going to make more than you. Is it fair? Is it right? No. But how many of you out there have worked for corporations and you know that the person next to you, I don't like to say was dumb as a bag of rocks, but I've heard that term before, and they weren't as smart as you or as efficient as you, but somehow they made more. And sometimes it wasn't because they were there longer than you. Sometimes it was because friends, buddies, and in-laws. If this has happened to you or somebody you know, go ahead and put a number 3 in the chat box. Why? Friends, buddies, and in-laws. friends, buddies, and in-laws. And by the way, don't forget, like, share, and start a watch party. Like, share, and start a watch party, and run and tell somebody I am talking about leadershipology. Are you leading and are you lagging? Now, if you are leading in your personal life, in your business life, I want you to put in a comment, how are you leading? How are you leading? Are you getting up every day before the crack of dawn and doing the things that your business requires? Are you getting up and even working out? Now, I must admit, during COVID, I myself gained several extra pounds. And so now you see me, I'm working out, I'm trying to eat even more healthy because I've always ate healthy, but I realized I was so sedentary and I wasn't moving around as much anymore. And I gained the extra weight. And so now I'm focusing, or dare I say, refocusing to make sure I take the weight off, because that also is a part of leadership. You must try to be healthy, mind, body, soul, and financially, emotionally as well. And so I see another person coming in. Hey there, Phyllis Weaver. Phyllis Weaver here from North Carolina. See, Phyllis know how to come in the house. And she put a 3. She put a 3 because what I talked about as far as friends, buddies, and in-laws, and not being paid commensurate to your skills and to your training has happened to her or someone that she knows. And so I dare say this is something that happens often. Now, this begs the question, does it happen because of failed leadership? Go ahead, put it in the comment. If you think it happens because of failed leadership, put a number 4 in the comment. But now, here's what I want to also add before you answer that. Does it happen because of failed leadership? Does it happen because it is the culture of the company? The culture of the company. Does it happen because of failed leadership or because it's the culture of the company? Well, I don't know. Why don't you tell me what you think? Or maybe I do know. But here, right here are some of the answers. And I want you to select which one you think it is. The culture of the company. And I'm going to put it right here for you. See, because what I've learned is that oftentimes when something stinks, it stinks from the top. I've worked for many large corporations and small corporations, and oftentimes when something is going wrong within a company, it's often because of failed leadership. And not just from a management point, okay? Not just the people on the deck plates. It's often coming above from the people higher above, and it's a trickle down effect, okay? Sometimes it is so bad and it goes on for so long that it becomes the culture of the company. The culture, okay? Now, what do I mean? Basically, long and short is it's the way they do things. It's become their culture. Is it ethical? More than likely not. Is it right? More than likely not. Does it cost them to lose clients? Probably so. Does it cost them to lose great employees? Probably so. Let me ask you this. Have you ever worked for a corporation and the gal or the guy that's always late, they always do less than they're paid for, and their work really sucks? They've always got paid. They've always been the person that's kept on board. And have you seen where the people who are always on time, who are never late, who always show up and do more than they're paid for, sometimes they don't quite get the fair shake? Now, that is because of leadership. What I learned when I was in the military, and I served in the Navy for many years, is that you have to get on the deck plates. So I'm calling out to all the leaders here, all the leaders globally. You must get on the deck plates and find out what is happening within your company. You have to find out what has become the culture of the company, and especially if this is your corporation. And so I asked a couple of you, if is it the leadership or is it the culture of the company? And Angela said it can be both. So I like to dig a little deeper because she said it can be both. Why is that? Why could it be the leadership and why could it be the culture? Well, a lot of times leadership dictate the culture. So oftentimes whatever the leader embodies and embraces and think that he or she is right about, or if they're trying to lead the corporation in a certain way, they embody that. And so it's a trickle down effect. So it can come from the leadership. It can come because of the culture. It can be both. The leadership dictates the culture of the corporation. So let's look at what Terrence Leffridge is saying. Terrence is saying leading by example. I can't tell other people to be unstoppable if I'm letting things stop me. Wow, that's profound. If you agree with what Terrence Leffridge said, Mr. Unstoppable himself, put a number 5 in the comment block below. Put a number 5 in the comment block below. If you believe that leading by example, see, I can't tell other people to be unstoppable if I'm letting things stop me. That's what he said. That's what he said. And so I agree with that statement. And guess what? Mr. Unstoppable agrees with what Angela said. He said, I agree, Angela. Culture is defined by what the leader allows to occur or not to occur. And so you see right there, when a corporation has a culture, anyone that's coming into the corporation is going to do one of a myriad of things. One, they're going to succumb to the culture and take on either the positive or negative thought processes and behaviors and customer service that the corporation provides, or they will do just enough not to get fired. And I remember Les Brown talked about him working at places and just doing just enough not to get fired. And sometimes when we don't like the culture of a corporation, but we need that paycheck, okay, because we live in just over broke, we succumb to the negativity within the corporation. Or if we are negative Nancy's, we don't totally succumb to the positivity in the corporation, but we just act positive enough just to get by, just to get the paycheck. You ever know somebody like that just do just enough just to get the paycheck, just to get by? And then after payday is done, then they gone. You ever know somebody like that? If you've known somebody like that, or if you've been that person, put a number 6 in the comment below, because Lolo want to know. And so Terrence said a person is guilty by association. A leader is guilty by disassociation. And so I think what Terrence is saying, and Terrence, I want you to correct me if I'm not on base. What I think Terrence is saying is that, a culture happens within a corporation. And sometimes even when the leader hasn't totally dictated the right culture, there's a culture that forms on the deck plates within a corporation. And sometimes because the leader is so far removed, they don't even know what culture is going on in their own corporation. Sometimes the leader is so far removed, they have disassociated themselves with the very culture of their corporation. And sometimes when that happens and they realize it, they try to turn it around. And that's when you see a lot of times they do a mass culling or mass purging to try to get things to turn around. Or they'll invite someone in, such as myself, or even Mr. Terrence Leffridge, who is a coach, and they'll bring them in, especially someone like me who is discertified, to find out where the shortcomings are coming. Or even like our guest for tonight, the leader of Leadershipology and the creator of Leadershipology. So we're going to take a quick break. I want you, if you would, please go ahead, like, share, start a watch party, and run and tell somebody, because when I come back, I'm coming back with my guest, the remarkable leader and the creator of Leadershipology. So go ahead, get your notepad and get your pen, because note takers are money makers and note takers are change makers. So if you want to change the culture, if you want to be a success at leadership, get ready to write it down, because we are about to run into Leadershipology. The question is, are you leading or are you lagging? We'll be right back.
Hey, it's Velton Showell. Every day brings us new opportunities to do something great for ourselves and do something great for others. Leadership is our way of sharing our gifts with those around us to help them to be the best that they can be. I wrote this book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, to give us some information, some guidance, and some tools to help us help ourselves, help others, and make the world a better place by helping the people around us. Only you can stop you, but you can help others. I'm Velton Showell, and I look forward to your impression of the book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles.
Ever wonder why our bodies age? Obviously, it's nature's law. Medical science and research is so advanced nowadays, but our bodies are still degenerating pretty fast. Well, I drink Izumia water. Izumia water is a hydrogen-rich drinking water. It helps you feel revitalized, energetic, healthier, feel younger, and more active. Go ahead and have your own Izumia right now. If you're an entrepreneur and you are ready to live the dream in 2021, well, come on and get on board with the visibility strategist herself, the CEO of Unity in Service, where people need people, the phenomenal Patricia Rogers, as she presents Entrepreneurs Living the Dream 2021. It's an online event that you don't want to miss. There will be several opportunities for public speakers, public TEDx speakers. You heard it right. Public TEDx speakers. Starting on February 25th, 2021, June 24th, 2021, October 21st, 2021, April 22nd, 2021, and August 26th, 2021. You don't want to miss this. Get at her at info@patriciarogers.com, info@patriciarogers.com, where Unity in Service, where people need people. And we are back, and I am happy to say that people need people. That's what I said. People need people. So one of my guests is working on getting his internet straight. We're going to take another quick break and be right back and see if that time will give him time to get his camera working. Be right back. Show Network. All right, and I am back. And I am super happy that I have you here with me doing what I do, and that's bringing inspiration to you. So tonight we're talking about leadershipology, and we're trying to get our guest, Velton Showell, the creator of leadershipology, get him in here to let us know if we're leading or we're lagging. But in the meantime and in between time until he comes on, we're going to keep chatting about what leadershipology is, what leadership is, and how can we move more into a leadership position in our personal lives as well as in our business lives. So we've got a comment from Ronald White, and we're going to take that. Ronald White says, there's a lot to put on the screen. I'll try to put it up there for you though. He says, it is the ego that dictates the culture. Once you get back truth and trust, then you are on the right path. So I'm going to stop right there. Ronald said truth and trust. A lot of times people feel like they can't trust leadership because sometimes they feel like leadership don't tell the truth. Ever been on a job? Because I know I have. And they said that, well, we got plenty of work. I was working in the construction field. I'm an electrician by trade, many of you know. And I was working at a huge facility near my first home. And they said, well, we've got plenty of work. We just got finished putting in some silos. Everything's going great. We'll be on this project for several more months. And then around 12 o'clock noon, high noon time, y'all, they came around with pink slips. And several people were laid off. So do you think that people believed in the leadership? Of course not. Of course not. So people didn't believe them. People didn't trust them. And see, that's where trust is lost. Okay. So let's go ahead and go back to what Mr. Ronald shared. And then we're going to go back and see if Mr. Velton is ready, because I think his camera may not work, but his voice is powerful enough to say what he needs to say to lead us into leadershipology. So Ronald, I'm going to finish reading what you shared. And thank you so far for what you shared. So learn from the indigenous people. If you grow a tree and the branches fight with each other, then it doesn't matter what culture you have. This is a great opportunity to get rid of dead wood. So, Ronald, I think you're saying if you have dead wood on your tree, if you have dead wood in your corporation that's further causing the bleeding, then you need to make haste to move the dead wood outside of the perimeter of the tree. Because Robert or Ronald, that was a great analogy. You ever figure out what's going on when you plant a tree or you plant a plant, and all of a sudden this one branch starts dying out? And then if you don't cut it off, what happens is it infects the whole rest of the plant or the rest of the tree, and the tree over time dies out. I love what Angela said. She said, be a change maker. And that's what leaders are. Leaders are change makers. And I heard Terrence say, the leader is guilty of being asleep at the wheel, or even worse, of silence. Because, and I love that you said that, Terrence, because guess what? If you are silent, you are loudly agreeing with the negativity. So let's look and see. We're waiting for Mr. Velton, but that's okay. If you're not read his book, you are going to want to stay tuned for his book. So I think he's back. Let me see if I can grab him and get him into the broadcast. Let's see here. Velton, are you here? Okay, Velton, if you can hear me, you'll need to connect your mic. And if that doesn't work, just use your phone and come on in and let's see if we can get you going. And in fact, I may take a quick break and see if I can just get them on the phone, if that will work. But anyway, we're going to keep going because this is a tasty little morsel tonight. Leadershipology. So what is leadershipology? What is leadershipology? I want Velton to tell you that. But if you think that you know what leadershipology is, I want you to put it in the comment what you think leadershipology is. Why? Because I want to know what you know. And if you know what leadershipology is, because I think I already know. So I'm going to give you 30 seconds to think about it and write it down. And then after you write that down, I'm going to let you look at, you know what? I'm going to be extra generous tonight. I'm going to let you look at the front cover and the back cover of his book and give you a fighting chance to guess. And then I'm going to give you another 30 seconds to put it in the comment what leadershipology is. And if you have a moment and you want to look it up, you can do that too. Here goes.
Hey, it's Velton Showell. You know, every day brings us new opportunities to do something great for ourselves and do something great for others. Leadership is our way of sharing our gifts with those around us to help them to be the best that they can be. I wrote this book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, to give us some information, some guidance, and some tools to help us help ourselves, help others, and make the world a better place by helping the people around us. Only you can stop you, but you can help others. I'm Velton Showell, and I look forward to your impression of the book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership. Take care.
All right. Make sure you get your virtual ticket to the 2021 Pro Network event coming in April. We are going to be networking with fabulous entrepreneurs all over the world, and so should you. So get in where you fit in that Pro Network. Hey, I love it. I love that Pro Network commercial. If you like that commercial, if you love that commercial, put a number 10 in the comment block below. Put a number 10 in the comment block below. Now, listen, I've got somebody that said they know what leadershipology is, and she may be right. Her name is Phyllis Weaver from North Carolina, and she said the study of being a great leader. I like that. So I think Mr. Showell is here. And if he's here, I'm going to ask him. All right, Velton, are you here with us? All right. It looks like you're still not connected for some reason, Velton. Looks like you're still not connected. So anyway, I think that someone in the audience might be right. If you agree with Phyllis Weaver about leadershipology, spell it out, leadershipology, okay, because I think the meaning is in the word. So check this out. Leadershipology is like, let's just say, is the art of leading. It's a science. It's a school of thought on how to lead, on how to not just lead people, but also lead yourself, because leadership really starts from the inside out. Leadershipology is a word that was coined by Keith Craft. It was coined by Keith Craft many, many years ago. So let's talk about ology. Ology means the study of. So I think Miss Phyllis is on to something. And therefore, the word leadershipology means the study of leadership. See, leadership is choosing a way of thinking. It's a school of thought. Being and doing that kind of leadership, that leadership lifestyle, okay? And it's applying the study of leadership through leadershipology that takes your ability to lead to a whole new level. See, when you're mindfully applying the leadershipology that Keith Craft coined, the word itself, but that Mr. Velton Showell has really turned it into an art of being, an art of thinking, an art of execution, and executing it every day in your life, that in and of itself sets you apart. You can go into any corporation. You can go anywhere on the planet. And if you know about leadershipology, what it is, how to utilize it, and that's the thing that Mr. Velton Showell will help us learn, how to utilize the process of leadershipology so that we can not just be better in our personal lives, but be better in our business life. Okay? Be better in our business life. And I think Mr. Velton Showell is on the phone. I think I got a letter saying he's on the phone. So give me a quick second. I'm going to get him. I'm going to bring my phone over and I'm going to see if he can talk to you from the phone. Hey, Velton, how are you?
Not as good as you, and I'm fantastic.
All right. Fantastic. Well, I'm fantastic too. And I know you've had a little bit of trouble trying to get on, and that's okay. But we're just happy to have you. We have had some folks try to guess at what leadershipology is. And Miss Weaver, I think she was spot on with it. So, Mr. Velton, can you tell us in your words, what leadershipology is? And then we're going to get right to the nitty-gritty of the conversation. What is leadership? But first, before we go there, I'd like you to tell folks who you are and what you do, because now, guess what? I see you.
Oh, hey, all right. We have Houston, we have liftoff.
Yep. Okay, so I saw you for a quick minute, but I couldn't hear you, but I've got you on the phone. So this is fine. So let's talk about who is Velton Showell. Can you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Absolutely. Well, Velton Showell, from first and foremost, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Velton Showell is a servant. And I am a servant to everyone that I come in contact with that I can help lift up to a better level themselves. Awesome. I spent 30 years in corporate America, learning from, watching, admiring, and even sometimes frowning on certain individuals based on their abilities to lead well or not to lead well.
Right.
So the question that everybody asked and that you guys have been wrestling with is, what is leadershipology? Well, leadershipology is just like biology and technology and psychology. It is the study of leadership. And we study leadership because leaders are not born. They're created. They're made. And they're made not just by watching the best, but as Charles Bronson's, Clint Eastwood's movie, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Yes.
You have to understand and learn from the good, the bad, and the ugly. From the good, you learn the things that are duplicatable, things that help inspire people, help create an environment for success, the type of environment that people want to be a part of, the type of environment that people get up in the morning excited about coming to work, doing their best whether you're in front of them or not, and going home feeling good about what they've accomplished today and looking forward to coming back tomorrow. See, in this world, people don't leave bad jobs. People leave bad leaders or bad managers.
Wow. Wait a minute.
So
Can you say that again? Can you say that again?
Yeah, in this world, people don't leave bad jobs. In most instances, they leave bad managers or bad leaders.
Wow.
That's what makes a person leave. That's what gives a person a headache. That's what gives a person that attitude that you talked about. There's dead wood in the building. There's dead wood in the building because these people are frustrated in a lot of instances. They see no upside. They see no positive in anything that they're doing or anything that surrounds them. You know, it's like a dog. If you kick a dog so many times, sooner or later, the dog's going to bite you.
Yep.
In an environment as a leader, it's our responsibility to create an environment for success. You know, one of my favorite books that I read back in the 90s was written by a gentleman named Tom Peters. He wrote 2 books. The first book was called In Search of Excellence, and the second book was called A Passion for Excellence. And in Search of Excellence, he talked about management by walking around. And in my latest book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, I take a segment of that book, because here's the thing. If you make it your business every day to walk around your operation looking for somebody doing something over the top, something exemplary, something that is beyond the expectation, and you make a big issue of it, not just today, but tomorrow and the day after that, in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening. And you never in public have anything negative or derogatory to say about any behavior that is substandard or that may not be up to expectation. You're going to have those, but you counsel those in private. You never let anybody in your operation see or hear you utter negativity. What does that do? It creates an environment where people want to be recognized. Everybody wants to be recognized at some point. So people start to do things in a positive fashion so that they can get those accolades. Because they don't want Lotus to be recognized, and I'm sitting over here and I want to be recognized too, because I can work just as well as she can, and probably better in my mind. But unless I show it, I'm not getting recognized. But if he sees it or she sees it when they walk by, they're going to make a big issue of it. So, hey, it's my turn. You have people competing for positive recognition. How many of us have worked in a company or a corporation where you sit there all day and everybody's looking at the cloud? You got somebody sitting over there talking about, you don't know, I'm not the one today. She better not mess with me today, because I just had enough of this place. I'm tired, and they just don't understand.
They don't. Bernie Mac used to say that. They just don't understand.
That doesn't happen in a day. That doesn't happen in a week. That festers over time. And it's because there's a cancerous environment that's being created by leadership. Exactly.
Well, let me ask you this, Velton, because you've worked for some huge corporations in the United States, and you've seen the worst of the worst, and I'm sure the best of the best. And seeing all of that, what really inspired you to create this cutting edge philosophy? What inspired you to create this cutting edge philosophy, Leadershipology?
Well, there's a few things. Number one, I watched a lot of people in corporate America get promoted because of their technological skills or their financial abilities to either save money or make money, so forth and so on. And many of these individuals were put in leadership roles and they had no people skills. And they created those festering environments that I talked about. Right. That where the company was making money, but the company was going to go out of business because the people had enough. Right. The people, their turnover rate was through the roof. Right. And they couldn't figure out how to stop the bleeding. But the bottom line, as fast as they were bringing the money in on top, they were losing it on the bottom because of the turnover and the training that had to be re-fortified because there was so much turnover. Right. That was number one. Number two, I watched a lot of people who wanted to climb the corporate ladder that didn't understand what it meant to have the skill set necessary to manage in all directions. Right. They didn't manage. They didn't really have people below them, but the people that had lesser jobs with them, they had no respect for. Right. The people on their level, they really didn't care about. All they cared about were the people above them. Right. Well, see, when you're in a leadership role, you have to understand that you have to manage, and I use the word manage very sparingly. You have to relate to people in every direction. You got to understand how to deal with or how to relate to the people above you. You have to learn how to relate to the people on the same level as you, because you can't do everything yourself. You're going to need another department to interact with your department, or to sometimes come to your rescue, or sometimes to partner with you to do things. And you're going each other enough to replace me with we. Right, exactly. And that's one of the things, Mike. An environment in your operation where someone will say, you know what? As far as I'm concerned, that's better for me, but it's not the best for the team. Right. So I'm going to reduce me to expand we. So I'm going to take a step back from me, and I'm going to push we forward, because if we do well, we all will do well. Right. Be successful. Right. I can be successful by myself, but only to a certain level. Right. The team rises much faster. Right. So let me ask you this. How has leadershipology changed your life and the lives of others that you have trained in this powerful school of thought? Well, number one, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I said that leaders are not born, they are created or they're learned. Right. When I started the process of studying leadershipology and started the process of writing the book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, I looked at different principles or different aspects of the consummate leader and said, what does the consummate leader focus on? How do they think? How do they look at things? And how do I help people adapt these kinds of principles inside of their own makeup so that they can be better at what they do? So it took me down the road of writing the book and then studying some of the premier leaders in the world, or studying some of the premier corporations in the world. Some of my favorites are Sir Richard Branson. Yes. Sir Richard Branson has his philosophy is just amazing. He'll tell you in a minute, he has no external customers. Now, he owns Virgin Atlantic Airlines, but he has no external customers. All of his customers are his employees. Because he says If he takes care of his employees,
They will take
care of all of the customers that he could ever imagine, and then create some more for them.
So let me stop you for a second there, because Sir Richard Branson made that comment, but you and I have talked for hours at a time, and I know that you employ that same philosophy. And I think one of the major things that you shared with me is that although there are customers all throughout the world, your first customer is really your employee.
Absolutely.
And if you don't treat your employee right, how in the world can you ever expect to treat your external customer right? And so,
well,
go ahead.
Exactly. But here's the thing. You ask, how can you? What can I do? How do I learn that? There are many examples out there. I use Sir Richard Branson as one example. Another one of my favorite examples, and this is what I do. I study companies like that are very successful from a leadership philosophy perspective. One of my other favorites, I worked in the hospitality industry for 30 years. And I never worked for this company, but I always regarded them as being the best of the best.
Right.
And that's a company called Ritz-Carlton. They're the only hotel company in the world to win the Malcolm Baldrige Award. The Malcolm Baldrige Award is given to the best of the best in service, customer service, in any industry.
Wow.
Now, their philosophy is this. They have their mantra that they share with all of their employees. They don't call their employees employees. They're not staff members. They're not housekeepers. They're not dishwashers. They're not front desk agents, clerks, or bellmen. They are ladies and gentlemen serving ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. And that's a big thing. And like you said, think about it. We got to think about what that means. I'm going to tell you, this past weekend, I was honored to be a part of a birthday party for the goddess of soul, Miss Martha High. And something that she taught me when I first met her, she talked about the godfather of soul, Mr. James Brown himself. And she talked about the fact that he required everyone on his staff to refer to one another as Miss or Mr., because there was a level of respect and dignity that they had to embody and that they had to give. So when you said that, it made me think of Mr. James Brown and Miss Martha High, because that's where it really starts. You have to set the example for the people that work with you and for you. And if you don't, then you will be made an example of.
Well, you're absolutely correct. And here's the real caveat to that. It's a two-way street. It's mutual respect. So if you're going to require somebody to call you Mr. Showell, then Mr. Showell has to speak to the same person, no matter what their level, as Mr. Johnson, Mr. Jones, Mr. whoever, or Miss Richey, whoever, because it's not a hierarchy situation. It's mutual respect.
Right.
And that's really what drives the environment in any organization, where people then break down those walls of fear, or those walls of resentment, or those walls that say, I'm not the one today.
Right.
You don't know what I'm going through.
Right. And so
when I talk about the word lead, I use an acronym.
Right.
The acronym that I use is, number one, as a leader, you have to listen. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth to listen twice as much as we speak.
Yes.
The second letter is an E, and that's for empathize. You can break down barriers or walls with anybody if you approach them in an empathetic style. You don't have to agree with them. You don't have to reinforce them, but just show empathy. The willingness to listen and empathize. The third is to take action. based on what you've learned when you're listening, based on the empathy, you are in a position to take action. You're in a position to make a change or an adjustment to help not only this person, but everybody in your organization advance or do better based on what you've learned. Mm-hmm. And the last thing is, a lot of people take action, but they don't deliver.
Wow.
If you just take an action and you're not delivering, you're just spinning your wheel. And sooner or later, people are going to say, yeah, well, he said he was going to do something. You know what that means?
Yes, yes.
If you deliver, then people start to sit up and take notice.
So
he said, not only did she listen, mm-hmm. she was very empathetic. Mm-hmm. She took action and she delivered.
Yes. So I heard you say, listen, empathize. And now some people get empathy confused with sympathy. Why should we empathize rather than sympathize?
Well, first of all, empathy is not really, no one wants to be pitied.
Right.
Okay. Sympathy is about pity. You're not pitying a person. You're just listening to their mm-hmm. point of view. Mm-hmm. You can be empathetic and not show any emotion. But again, you're listening to their point of view. You're mm-hmm. not, and here's the real thing about listening and communication. And I in my book, again, I talk a lot about communication. See, a lot of times in leadership, people think that communication is all about what I have to say or what I have to give you. Communication is a two-way street. If you're really listening from an empathetic position, you're hearing a person out. You're not formulating an answer or a rebuttal to what they're saying while they're talking. You're tuned in to what that person is saying. You're tuned in to the emotional feeling that person is experiencing at that time. You're not sympathizing with it, but you're tuned into it. You can see, you can feel, you can just understand what's going on in that person's mind, what's going on in that person's world. And that's all a lot of people want, is just your understanding.
Right.
But through empathy, you can show that you got it. I understand. Now, the action that you take may not be have a direct impact on them that day, but it's something that you have gleaned out of that conversation that's necessary. It may be 3 or 4 people or departments removed. But here's the thing. If you take the action, you can come back and report back to them and say, Lotus, we had a great conversation the other day. And based on that conversation, we've made a couple of adjustments or changes. It's not anything in our department or our area that's going to have a direct impact on us tomorrow, but over time, it's going to help us evolve and get better at what we do as an organization. So I really appreciate the feedback that you gave me. Your input has made a change. It's made a difference. And when you do those types of things, you can watch the magic.
Yes. I love that. Watch the magic. Because the magic, a part of that magic is when you actually stand up and deliver. Delivering on the unspoken, because sometimes the promises we make are unspoken. But delivering on the promises that we say we're going to do. And a part of being a great leader is to make sure that you deliver. And so I really love that you said that. And although we've had some technical challenges tonight, we said we were going to deliver tonight, and we are delivering. And so those of you that are just coming on, those of you that are stuck with the broadcast throughout the technical difficulties, I want to let you know I appreciate it. And for those of you that might just be tuning in, we're actually past the top of the hour, but hit the replay. But I want to let you know tonight I have an awesome guest. His name is Mr. Velton W. Showell III. He's the founder and chief strategist at Leadership Dynamics International. He's also the founder and chief strategist at Leadership's Dynamic Academy. And he's a phenomenal show host. But most important, tonight, he is here with you and I, and he's helping us to understand tonight's topic, because we are speaking about leadershipology. Are you leading or are you lagging? That's the question. We've just jumped into a new year. And you know what, Velton? A lot of times people make all of these New Year's resolutions, but they still don't understand leadershipology, and that the leadershipology starts within and then it radiates without. And I think, Velton, you said leaders aren't born, they're created.
No. Leaders are created, but here's the real issue moving forward. COVID-19 has changed the playing field.
Yes.
We are evolving into the new normal. And in the new normal, business will be conducted much differently than it has in the past.
Yes.
It's already in an evolutionary stage. It's already changing. And here's some things that are changing. You know, we talk about Generation X, we talk about Generation Y, Generation Z. I think we've run out of alphabet soup right now.
Yes.
But here's what one of the things that has concerned me from a leadership standpoint. This new generation, we talk about people skills. Their people skills are even less than the generation before them and the generation before them and the generation before them. You know, I have two children. They're both grown. And you've heard me talk about my son, who I love to death. He's an epidemiologist and does very well. But I can call my son on the phone, and I might not get a return phone call for 24 hours. But I can send him a text message and I'll get an answer within 30 seconds to a minute. And that's really, it's not unique to him and our relationship. It is a situation where we are in a new situation with people because they don't communicate. They don't take time to interact with each other. They are more independent because they are more comfortable utilizing a computer, utilizing a cell phone, sending a text, sending an email than they are in interacting with people. That's number one. Number two, corporations aren't going to be spending as much money as they used to on these enormous rents for these monstrosities of buildings.
Exactly.
Because people have been working from home now for almost a year. So now that they understand that people are comfortable working from home and monetarily it is flowed to the bottom line in a different format, they're not going to get these buildings with these enormous mortgages or leases to house people. So now, as a leader, instead of my staff being in a close proximity to me, they're going to be globally placed wherever.
Right.
So how do I keep that connectivity? How do I keep that teamwork or that team philosophy intact in those situations to grow our effectiveness, to grow our productivity? That's the challenge as we move forward with leaders. That's the new obstacle that we as leaders have to contend with and learn to deal with.
And so I have a question, because you were talking about your son, and that when you call them, sometimes it'll take them a 24-hour turnaround to get that call back to you. But if you text them, you'll get the return text very readily. So my question in my mind came like right away when you were talking about it. Are we becoming more technology focused rather than people focused?
Absolutely. And it's not a new thing. This has been evolving for years and years and years.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem that we have with that is behind every machine, there's a person.
Exactly. And you know, I'm gonna share this with you. I share this with people from time to time. I remember when I was working for the Department of Defense, and I was working in Japan, and sometimes I would get on the bus because they have buses. You can, and I had a car as well, but sometimes you just want to ride the bus. I enjoyed it, being in the culture. And sometimes I would get on the bus after getting off the train, and even on the train, I would look around to see who were using their phones. And now, years ago, when people used to take buses and trains, they sat side by side, elbow to elbow, hip to hip. And eventually they would turn one to the other and maybe say, hello, oh, what stop are you getting off on, or what have you. But almost nobody on the train, almost nobody on the bus would talk to one another. They would be texting on their phones or talking on their phones. And it made me wonder about where we're going. And even in our leadership, we are being led more and more to leaning on that human touch. And so,
go ahead. I'm sorry.
So my question is, how do we lead our leaders to, although we need to lean on technology, because when technology works, it's fantastic, but we have to learn to be able to do with technology, because guess what? For a moment, the computer just went down and it came back up, but it didn't stop us, because even though we are virtual, we still have that human connection, if you will. So how do we share with our leaders to make sure they're still keeping that human connection in their environments? How do we do that?
Well, it's interesting because the word virtual has the same root as the word versatility. And let's look at it this way. The greatest dancer in the world has 2 feet, 2 legs. And if only one leg is working at the optimal level, the other leg will surely make them fall or stumble or miss a beat. It's the same thing from a leadership standpoint when we talk about balancing how much technology erodes the humanistic aspect of our team. So do we allow our team to be so focused by technology that it erodes every relationship that we have in the organization? It erodes our connectivity with the people who make us great, and operate those machines that are doing what we need them to do? I mean, at what point do we say we need to be versatile? We need balance in our organization. We need to make sure that we're not missing a beat because we've neglected the technology, or we've neglected the personal side of what makes a good company great.
Wow. And you know, it's tough to try to use technology all the time and then get to the kitchen table and sit down and have dinner. I've even found myself, I'm in the car and I'm communicating with someone by text and not the driver. Okay. I've been at home and I'm communicating and not with my loved one, because I'm in a conversation somewhere else and I'm missing that quality time. So I think it's unequivocal that we cannot lose that ability to stay connected. And I think a part of leadershipology, as it teaches us to be good leaders, it also teaches us to be good stewards of how we lead and good stewards of our time as well. And really change, it helps us to kind of bring things in, if you will. So,
well, it's interesting. You're hitting on a lot of different things that I study. One of the things that really gets to me is when I walk into a grocery store, or prior to COVID-19, because right now I'm not walking in any stores, but prior to that, I would walk into the store and there'd be a child who would be having a little bit of a meltdown, sitting in a stroller or sitting in a cart. And the parent would be trying to shop or looking at something that they were trying to make a decision on. And they would reach into their pocket or reach into their purse, and they would hand this little child who wasn't even 5 years old a cell phone.
Yes. I've seen it.
And this little child would take this cell phone, and all of a sudden they're quiet.
Yep.
Okay. Now, there's two issues here. Number one, there are motor skills that a child has that are being neglected because they're not old enough to go through the mechanics of utilizing a phone. Right. It's just like a child up until the age of 4. And my good friend Simon T. Bailey says this in a lot of his speeches. Every child is born a genius, and they're operating at the genius level until the age of 4.
Right.
But it's the people in the environment that they are growing up in who create the fences that they now have to deal with. Don't do that. You can't do that. Don't do it this. Here, take this phone and be quiet. Versus giving them the attention that they are looking for. Instead of giving them the cell phone, if you're at home, get out a blank piece of paper and a thick pencil and let them color. Right. No lines, no boundaries, because that's another limiting factor. We give a kid something to color with and say, don't color outside the lines.
Right.
Well, all creativity is outside the lines.
Yeah.
Think about if Albert Einstein only colored inside the lines.
Yes.
Would he have ever discovered E equals MC squared? No.
There would have
Paul Laurence Dunbar, who worked with Thomas Edison. And there 999,000 ways that the light bulb wouldn't work. But Paul Laurence Dunbar created a filament that allowed the light to stay illuminated for days on end. And he and Thomas Edison were able to create the light bulb. So that's an outside, there is no box in that world. Right. They're not coloring outside the box. They're not thinking outside the box. There's no such thing as a box. They're creating it as they go along. And in our companies, in our organizations, we have to encourage people to do those types of things, not discourage it, whether we're dealing with our children or we're dealing with our adults in our organizations. We've got to encourage people to do something different, challenge the status quo, be what people say they couldn't ever be. Because as leaders, we're creating other leaders. And if we start at a young age and we create a leader, that person is going to lead other people and create other leaders themselves.
I concur. Well, I tell you, it's been a wonderful time having you here on the show. And although we can't see you live, so to speak, and in the flesh, we see your image here. We see your leadershipology, the study of leadership. And we've talked about the book. We've talked about what leadershipology is and what inspired you to write the book and how it's changed your life and even the people that you have working with you and for you and just people on a day-to-day basis that you come in contact with. So listen, I've got to have you back on the show That's unequivocal.
Absolutely.
I've got to have you back
No
on the
problem.
show when our cameras are working fine and all is well. But I would like you to tell me what's next, because you've got a lot of stuff going on. I know you got another book coming up. I know you've got a conference or summit coming up that it's in the works. So tell us more about what you got coming up. First of all, tell us about your book and how we can get it. First of all.
Well, the book is actually at the publisher right now, and it should be coming out in the next, I'd say in the next 45 days maximum.
Okay.
But it's called Leadership Dynamics, the Principles of Leadership. Mm-hmm. Now, one of the things to understand about the book, it's not just a book. It's a book, and it has a workbook that accompanies it. So that, leadershipology is about study. It's about understanding, not just glazing over. So what we do with the book is we segmented the book into 13 chapters. And each chapter has 4 segments. And each segment has a workbook that goes with it. Okay, so here's a chapter workbook, 13 workbooks that go with it. At the end of, as you go through the course, because it is a course, we also have a mastermind group of people just like you that are in leadership roles or are aspiring to become leaders. And as a part of the mastermind group, you get to interact with these people and talk to these people, bounce your ideas off of these people over a 26-week period, because it is a 26-week mastermind.
Wow.
We also have 2 retreats every year. So after you complete the mastermind, you are eligible to come to one of our retreats. And I live in South Florida, and everybody says, are you going to do the retreats in South Florida? We're going to find a nice resort where we'll do our retreats twice a year. And we're going to invite some of our mentors, some of the scholars that we've studied for years, to come in and continue to pour into the students that are part of the Leadership Dynamics Academy. Because what we're doing is not for us. What we're doing is we're creating other leaders.
Yes.
The greatest servant to ever walk the earth is Jesus Christ. And we truly believe that leadership is about being a servant. And we are servant leaders. So what we're developing is an academy that will serve other people who aspire to climb the mountain of success.
I love that. I love that. And so, like I said, folks, he's got a lot going on. If you haven't liked, shared, and started a watch party, please like, share, start a watch party. I hope you've taken some notes. And don't forget, he is coming back live and in person when our cameras are doing what they need to do to get back down to the nitty-gritty of leadershipology. And I'm hoping when the new book comes out, I hope you bring that book with you. But I promise that. All right. I love that you talked
Lotus, I'd like to do something. I'd like to give everybody who's here tonight something for free, if I can.
Yes,
because
please.
Again, it's not about me. It's not about listening to Velton Showell exclusively. If I can give you one nugget to learn from, if I can give you one thing that makes you think or change something about you, something to change for the better, then my goal and my job is done. But if you text the word leadershipology and your first name, your last name, and your email address, just text the word leadershipology, your first name, your last name, and your email address to 954-329-0281. I'm going to give you a free gift that I have of one of the products that we've developed for the Leadership Dynamics Academy, but it's going to be yours for free. So text the word leadershipology, your first name, your last name, and your email address to 954-329-0281.
All right. All right. So you see that number right there? You need to text that number right there. Text that number. You see that? You need to take Leadershipology, the word Leadershipology, put your first name, your last name, and text it to 954-329-0281. Did I get that right, Velton?
Yep, just add your email address in there too, because again, we want to make sure that we have the ability to communicate to you, because look, if you want to go far, go alone. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, build a team. We're building a team, and we will invite you to be a part of our team.
Exactly right. I love it. So you want to make sure you've got your first name, your last name, your email address, because if you don't have an email address, how is he going to get it over to you? So make sure you put your first name, your last name when you text Leadershipology, first name, last name, email address, text that stuff right to this number right here, 954-329-0281 for your free gift from the creator of the work, Leadershipology, the study of leadership by Mr. Velton Showell III. Make sure you do that, because you'll be happy that you've done that. So I know you've got the new book coming up. What else have you got coming up? And after you share that, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back, and we want your final words of wisdom for the show tonight. What else do you have coming up, Velton?
Well, the other thing that we're working on right now is we're putting together a book anthology. Because as I said, leadership is something that we learn. Mm-hmm. It's not something that is an exclusive thought or idea of ours. So what we've done is we're putting together a book anthology. Mm-hmm. I've invited 5 scholar pillar authors to co-author a book with me and 25 other authors.
Awesome.
So I've put together 5 authors so far. Mm-hmm. And we're looking for 25 additional authors. And we're writing the book, Leadershipology, the study of leadership, volume 1. Okay. So each of those authors is invited to come in and write a chapter with us as we change the world's ideas, that we change the world from a thought standpoint on the philosophies of leadership. But we need everybody to give us their input to shape the diamond into one of the most precious gems that we can share with the world. So Leadershipology, the study of leadership, volume 1, is about to go into production. The 5 pillar authors have already started. And I mean, I'm very proud of the 5 pillar authors that we've selected.
Yes.
Some of them may be, some of them you may know, some of them you may not. Mm-hmm. But a very good friend of mine that I've known over 40 years, who is the CEO of a company called the Kaleidoscope Group. Mm-hmm. And they work on diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. And he's writing a chapter on the aspects of leadership as it relates to our responsibilities with diversity and inclusion.
Wow.
Dr. Larry Rice, who is the dean of Johnson & Wales University, both here in Miami and in Rhode Island. He is he's been studying leadership for many, many years. He's one of my very close friends and a mentor. He's going to be writing a chapter on leadership from his perspective. Sylvia Henderson, who is a very good friend of mine also. And Sylvia actually oversees the mastermind groups that we talked about earlier, but that is her area of expertise. Mm-hmm. She works in corporate America with Fortune 500 and Fortune 100 companies in their mastermind, putting together mastermind groups for them. We also have Dr. Gail Brooks, who is a retired superintendent of schools from New Jersey. And we wanted her to give us her input for 2 reasons. Number one, leading the next generation, but also working with people and leading people who are developing the next generation. How do you lead them? How do you encourage them and motivate them to give our next generation the best possible support that they can? Mm-hmm. We also have Jerome Hutchinson. And Jerome has an organization called the ICABA World. And ICABA World is the International Career and Business Association. Mm-hmm. And he works with entrepreneurs, corporate executives, and even people who have nonprofit organizations to help develop their leadership prowess and their networking skills. I'm excited because Jerome was the gentleman who was responsible for me meeting one of my mentors, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough.
Yes. And
Dr. Kimbrough came in to speak at one of Jerome's events. I met him there. And the next time he came to town, I was able to, oh gosh, I can't think of the word right now, but I actually was not just the moderator, the MC for the day of that event. And I got to really spend time with Dr. Kimbrough and learn from a true pillar of leadership in our community. So we're excited about the anthology. We're excited about the 5 pillar authors, but we're more excited that it's giving us another platform to share with you, to help us change the world for the better. Because again, leadership is, and the last thing I'm going to say, and we're going to come back and talk about this at another time. But people always ask me, well, what's the best leadership style? How should I shape my leadership style? What leadership style works the best in any situation? I'm going to leave you with this. Don't focus on the leadership style. Focus on the learning style of the people you've been entrusted to lead. Because if you focus on their learning styles and how they process information, your leadership style is irrelevant. They will glean, gravitate, and adore you as a leader. And there's nothing that you could ever ask of them that they would not gladly step forward and do for you.
Yes.
So focus on them, not on you.
I like that. Focus on the learning style of the people that you have been entrusted to lead. Fabulous. And so the question becomes, how do people get into the anthology? Because you shared that your upcoming anthology is with 5 pillar authors and 25 additional authors. So how do they get into the book?
If they're interested in being a part of the anthology, then you can send an email to info@veltonshowell.com. Very easy. info@veltonshowell.com and say, I am interested in leadershipology, the study of leadership. An email to info@veltonshowell.com. I'm interested in leadershipology, the study of leadership.
All right, there we go. info@veltonshowell.com. All you got to say is, I am interested in what, Velton?
The study of leadership.
The study of leadership. And if you want to get your free gift from Mr. Velton Showell, don't hesitate. Go ahead and text the word Leadershipology with your first name, your last name, and your email to 954-329-0281 and get your free gift. Because after all, if you are wanting to become the best leader possible, sometimes you just may want to get the nuggets, the golden nuggets from the main leader. After all, he is the creator of Leadershipology, the study of leadership. He wrote the book on it. And just maybe he can help you write the book of your life. And so, Phyllis, I want to thank you. She said great advice from you, Mr. Showell. So thank you so much. So folks, we have had a magnificent time so far, and we are going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. We're going to come back with some final words of wisdom. Okay, some final words of wisdom. We'll be right back. Ever wonder why our bodies age? Obviously, it's nature's law. Medical science and research is so advanced nowadays, but our bodies are still degenerating pretty fast. Well, I drink Izumio water. Izumio water is a hydrogen-rich drinking water. It helps you feel revitalized, energetic, healthier, feel younger, and more active. Go ahead and have your own Izumio right now. But it's okay. Hold on a second. So
Hey, it's Velton Showell. You know, every day brings us new opportunities for ourselves and do something great for Leadership is our way of sharing our gifts with those around us to help them to be the best of them. I wrote this book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, to give us some information, some guidance, and some tools to help us help ourselves, help others, and make the world a better place by helping the people around us. Only you can stop you can help others. I'm Velton Showell, and I look forward to your impression of the book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership. Take care.
all right. So, Velton, I got to tell you, I am having a great time. And I know those who are listening to the broadcast, they have got to be enjoying what you are sharing. So, I wanted to ask you for your final words of wisdom for the broadcast this evening, because you are so insightful and you come with a wealth of knowledge. So, can you please share your final words of wisdom with our audience this evening?
Well, I guess the last thing that I'd like to share with the audience is the journey to being the best possible and most successful leader that you can be is a long, tenuous journey. It's a journey of study. It's a journey of trial and error. There are no failures. We never lose. We only win or we learn. And I've learned many, many lessons, and you're going to learn a lot of lessons along the way. But it's the lessons that we learn as we climb the hill or the mountain to success that allow us to enjoy the fruits of our labor once we've arrived. It's not what we do when we get to the top. It's what we learn as we are climbing that allows us to share with others and to be a mentor, a guide, or a role model for those yet to come. So as we journey on our own course, I ask each of you to reach back and bring somebody along with you. Reach back and mentor somebody. Reach back and coach someone. You don't have to be a coach in title, but be a coach in spirit, be a coach in mind, be a mentor, be a role model, because nobody can help the next generation if this generation doesn't invest in our future. Our young people may be 40% of the population, but they're 100% of our future.
Wow. Awesome. I love it. Need I say more? And we have a comment. I want to make sure I take that comment. Hey, Hillary, good to see you, Hillary. And she has some hearts there for you, Velton, letting you know that she loved what you said. So thank you, Hillary, coming all the way out of Chi-Town. Thank you so much. And so, folks, I guess for me tonight, my words of wisdom are just this. Quite simply, if you are a true leader, You must understand that leadership starts from the top, but you don't have to sit in the front seat of the Cadillac to lead, but you have to be able to lead with empathy, with care and concern. And most importantly, make sure you get to know the people that you're leading. Learn their leadership styles so that as you learn their leadership styles, you'll be able to identify with how they need to be led, not just so that they can fend for another day, but so that they can fend for every day to come, not just to fend for themselves, but to also teach their children or those that they're entrusted with leading. Teach them how to lead, how to grow, and how to be strong, because that's what real leaders do. And so I want to invite you to join me tomorrow night on the Lotus Richey Ignite show when my guest, she is phenomenal, all the way from Paterson, New Jersey. Her name is Shirley Patterson, and she is a phenomenal leader, and she's also a speaker, a pastor, and she's also an author. So join us tomorrow night when we talk to Shirley Patterson from Paterson, New Jersey, and we're going to talk about her new book, how she got over dealing with some of her stress, some of her strain and turmoil in life. So until we meet again, and of course, my friend, let me share this with you so we can put a face with the person who will be in the place tomorrow night. Miss Shirley Patterson, how I made it over the secret place. You see that right there? That's who's coming to join us tomorrow night. But tonight, Mr. Velton Showell III, I thank you so much for being with us, sharing your love and your light. And she said, hello, Mr. Velton. Hillary says hello.
Hello, Hillary.
So those are our final words of wisdom. And I dare say, make sure you go out and get this book, Leadershipology, from Mr. Velton Showell. You will be happy you did. I'll see you tomorrow night, right here at the same place, at the same time, on the Lotus Richey Ignite show, where I am bringing inspiration to every nation as you come on in, and get in where you fit in, because I've always got room around my table for you. And make sure you always ignite and take flight in every area of your life, but especially the leadershipology of your life. Good night.
Hey, it's Velton Showell. Every day brings us new opportunities to do something great for ourselves and do something great for others. Leadership is our way of sharing our gifts with those around us to help them to be the best that they can be. I wrote this book, Leadership Dynamics, The Principles of Leadership, to give us some information, some guidance, and some tools to help us help ourselves, help others, and make the world a better place by helping the people around us. Only you can stop you, but you can help others. I'm Velton Showell, and I look forward to your impression of the